This episode of Access to the Arts is being made possible through the support of First Bank Richmond, with 8 locations serving Wayne County. First Bank Richmond and you, doing great things together.
I mean, we couldn't do what we do without First Bank and how supportive they have been throughout the years.
I've had a very good experience working with First Bank. They have been there really with all kinds of different things that I do in my life.
We consider First Bank Richmond a good friend. They're there to help us sponsor our signature events. You always are out there to help each other out.
Besides the business part of it, we just get along really well. And it's beyond a working relationship.
It's Access to the Arts. I'm Dave Paxton, joined now by Mary Walker, the Executive Director of the Wayne County Convention and Tourism Bureau. Did I get it kind of right?
Yes, you did.
Tourism
Absolutely.
Okay, we got it right. So that's I can just say Executive Director of the Tourism.
You bet.
Okay, so let's talk about what you do and how's the year been for you? It's probably been, normal.
Well, yes, of course, whatever normal is now. It actually is getting better. I mean, 2020 for everyone really had its trying times, let's say the least.
Mm-hmm.
But 2021 is improving. We're not where we should be compared to 2019, but we are better than we were in 2020, and that's the hospitality industry as a whole. So it is rebounding slowly but surely, so it's a very positive sign.
One of the things that I think you're able to use as an asset in getting the word out about the Richmond, Wayne County area is the thriving arts community. The what we have here in the community that's so very unique to Richmond.
It is,
and that's really a positive when you're putting the word out.
Oh, it's absolutely a positive. And when you look at the history that we've had in the arts, I mean, the Richmond Art Museum, that's the second oldest in Indiana. We're blessed to have the Richmond Symphony, blessed to have Civic Theater, Nettle Creek Players, Richmond Shakespeare. All of these and others bring a unique aspect to our community. People are amazed at the size of our community and that we have these amazing arts organizations that are just second to none.
I use the word unique, but it is somewhat that a community this size has such a varied arts program and such a successful group of arts that are continually year after year putting out quality content.
Absolutely.
So the last year had to be challenging in terms of your work with organizations and businesses overall, in terms of revenue, funding. Content can't be put out, product can't be sold. It had to be an interesting challenge for your group working with this area and helping them to cope.
Absolutely. When we look at, I was in tourism, I've been in tourism for quite a long time, and so when the housing crisis took place in 2008, 2009, that pales by comparison to what COVID did to our hospitality industry, to our arts, to businesses in general. And when we look at the funding that originally became available, a great part of it was for-profit businesses. There wasn't as much for nonprofit arts organizations and such. And so Lieutenant Governor, State of Indiana, came out with a $10 million arts, cultural, and destination marketing organization grant opportunity. We were so thrilled to say that 7 recipients that were all arts organizations in Wayne County received over almost $171,000 in funding, which again, most grants typically aren't used for operations, but because of the devastation that COVID had caused, and the stoppage and doing everything that we used to do normally, not normally, that could be used for operations and those kinds of things to retain our great people in the arts.
But throughout a very trying year, you still had some definite successes, including the meltdown, which in some ways was so much more. I enjoyed it. I always enjoyed it, but it was so much more fun. Sure. But even using that as a to get the word out. Not just here locally, but in Ohio and Kentucky, and getting people to come visit Richmond.
Yes, it certainly is a very unique and interesting event that occurs in a time period typically that is slow, and so for Wayne County and for tourism. And so it's a wonderful event to have in the winter. One of the things I will say about our arts organizations and entities like Meltdown and other festivals is that they really have had to pivot in 2020 and into 2021 on doing things much differently, whether it's having tours that are by appointment only, whether it's not being able to have the fundraising events that they typically do or their ticket sales, they really had to think outside the box in which to do business because nothing was normal for anyone in 2020.
But I think that also highlights how well all the different organizations and an organization such as yours were able to work together.
Absolutely.
It really helped to bring the community together.
Yes.
In a lot of ways.
And that's another thing that I can say for our arts and for all of our cultural institutions is that there isn't that sense of competition. They really do work together, and that is really something very different than I think you find in other communities. Everyone, they're all going for the same dollars. And so it makes it difficult in that way, but they really do work together and they combine things that make it even more interesting for the visitor or the guest. And so I applaud our cultural institutions for really being able to pivot and to think outside the box in very different ways to keep them here for 2021 and beyond.
Makes it more fun for you to give them, when you're doing your presentations, to have that as part of the attractiveness of this area.
Yes. Oh my gosh. They, in addition to tourism, our economic impact for Wayne County in 2019, which is the most current year we have, is for 1 year was $121.6 million into our economy. That includes all facets. That includes the arts, that includes lodging, that includes restaurants, etc. When we look at what the arts bring, not to just tourism, but to quality of place, to economic development, to working to retain and attract visitors and population. Our population here in Wayne County since 1970 has dropped considerably. And so working with the Economic Development Office, the Wayne County Chamber, and lots of other Wayne County governments, City of Richmond, and all the towns to really, what I have seen over the last 3 to 4 years, 5 years, is that where it used to be in economic development, jobs, and that's important, but the quality of place component really wasn't as high as it is now. People are understanding that people can work anywhere.
Right.
And so it's really where they want to live and work and not so much that a job is there. So there has been that paradigm shift that economic development and all of our organizations are dealing with. And so the arts play a critical role in having that quality place. And for a population of Richmond, 36,000 people, to have that kind of quality in terms of arts, their programming, is really pretty amazing for a community our size.
Mary Walker, thank you for joining us. We'll be back with more in just a bit. And we're back on Access to the Arts. I'm joined now by Laurie Carr, Vice President of Private Client Services from First Bank Richmond. Laurie, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Wanted to have you on to talk about a couple of things. First, obviously, talk about First Bank Richmond's involvement in the community, not just in the arts, but really over all facets of the community. The support the First Bank has had for so many years for the Richmond-Wayne County area. It's been outstanding. So you can toot your own horn a little bit.
Absolutely. First Bank Richmond has always felt like it was important to give back to the people who have made us a success. So we feel like it's important to support and to sponsor and to give back to as many organizations as we possibly can. And that's been our philosophy for a very long time. So we believe that we need to make it a better place to live and to work and to play. So that's kind of that has been our philosophy for a very long time and will continue to be.
And one of the things I've always thought was unique about this area is the amount of arts that are accessible to the community. I mean, for a community this size, really have the spoils of some great arts programs.
Absolutely.
And First Bank's really been involved in nurturing that, in helping it grow, and helping it sustain over all these years.
Absolutely. We are big supporters of all of the arts and all the nonprofits locally. So we're very proud of the fact that we've been able to help them grow and to help them to maintain where they're at and to be able to get to more people and a wider audience. We're proud of that.
Yeah, so now let's talk about the last year and change. It's been I think the last time we were able to do this show was 14 months ago.
Wow.
I remember recording it, the last show that never actually got on the air, the week that everything shut down.
Yes.
How did First Bank deal with such a huge event that happened not only within your organization, but really the whole community that you support?
Absolutely. It was a struggle, and of course we had a lot of decisions to make quickly, as did everyone. We did choose to close our lobbies and to offer services through drive-through only, so we never actually shut down. We did keep ourselves accessible to our customers throughout the entire thing. Now, at the same time, we had a couple of major things that happened. The PPP program, the interest rates went extremely low for home mortgages. So we were able to take care of a great number of customers to help them not only with their home financing needs, but with their concerns through COVID, all while having our lobbies closed. So we were all there every day. You know, some of us worked remotely, some of us were working split schedules, but we were open each and every day to make sure we were there to help.
And as we, because obviously this is access to the arts,
Yes.
The arts programs, the arts, the facilities, the organizations in this area, did they come to you? Did you reach out to them kind of proactively and say, hey, just know that we're here?
We did a little bit of both. Kim Poinsett is our community relations person, and between us all, we made sure that they knew we were there to do whatever we could do. Knowing that we were going to have the PPP program, we reached out to make sure we knew they knew they could apply, and that we were going to do whatever we could to get them the funds they needed to support them through not knowing how long this was going to last, but to be able to be there for them on the other side of it.
Yeah, so let's talk about the PPP program, which was a lifeline to so many businesses in this area. You don't need raw numbers, but you have any idea as to how much was brought in to help keep these organizations going?
Between the two rounds, we probably did $100 million worth of PPP loans. Not just obviously to the arts, but we were able to help a huge client base round one and round two. So we were very proud of what we were able to do. It was a very busy time. Everything had to be done electronically because our lobbies were closed and people were not allowed to be out. So everything was done electronically, but we were able to help, I believe, all the arts. We were able to do a PPP loan. I was personally involved in those, and so it was very rewarding to be able to call them to say, you're approved and here comes your money, and That was amazing.
With this past year, a challenge for everybody was fundraising.
Oh, yes.
And that's been something First Bank's always continued to be there in terms of, again, that resource and that support.
Absolutely.
For those
And we will
organizations.
continue to be there. That's something that we're very proud of, that we are fully committed to, is to being there as a sponsor and a support, not only financially, but we also have a lot of staff that goes out and volunteers at all of these events. So not only are we going to support you financially, but we're also going to be there physically to help you get through your events as well.
Excellent. Laurie Carr, Vice President of First Bank Richmond, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll be back with more in just a bit.
Welcome back to Access to the Arts. I'm Eric, once again kicking Dave out of the chair and kind of taking over to wrap up this week's show, having a chance to speak with Jessica Raposo, Associate Professor of Music and Music Program Coordinator. Woohoo, a two-line title. I like that. At Indiana University East. Thanks for spending some time with us.
Not a problem. Glad to be here.
Talk a little bit about the music department at IU East, how it works, what students who may be thinking about music should think about if they're coming here. Can they major in music? I mean, I'm sure there's a bunch of questions.
Sure. Yeah. So the music program belongs to the Department of Fine and Performing Arts. So we have music, art, and theater classes that are all offered through that department. The music program offers a really wide variety of options for students. For students that enjoy music and want to just continue studying it but have another major in mind, they can continue to play in pep band, maybe like they did in high school, or sing in choir. We offer private lessons for credit on a lot of different instruments. If they've never had a chance to learn an instrument that they wanted to, they can do that. For students that really aren't interested in doing anything performance-based, they can take classes on topics courses such as like the history of rock and roll or world music and all sorts of other things in between that.
I like the history of rock and roll course. I may have to take that one.
Probably our most popular course, in all honesty. And then for students that do want more formal study, we have a music minor that they can add to a music major. And then we have a music track within the Bachelor of Arts and Humanities degree, which we essentially treat like a music major, and the students that take it do. Where you're learning about the inner workings of music, its history, and really choosing a specialty area. We have students that focus in performance. We have students that focus in composition, computer music. And they've gone on to do internships with music studios, with the Richmond Symphony. We had our first graduate who went on to become a music teacher, who's now at Richmond High School.
Oh, nice.
And they're playing in bands, they're playing at their churches, they're participating in music all over the area.
Cool.
So,
talk about your music background. What got you started? What do you play?
Oh, goodness. I think I figured out that I really loved music when I was 3, and when I was about 10, I figured out you could do it for a career, and that just became the automatic assumption that's what I would do.
Wow.
I discovered the flute at age 11. Started taking private lessons on it almost immediately, and that is what I primarily do. I'm a concert flutist. Okay. So you'll see me doing primarily solo and chamber music. That's my primary focus with what I do, but I also occasionally play with the Muncie Symphony. I'm involved with the National Flute Association. I have done pit orchestras with theater, which often involves woodwind doubling, so I'm playing flute, clarinet, saxophone, mixing it up a bit. I also have a music education background, so at one point in time I was a 5th grade band director. I've conducted flute choirs.
I've never heard of a flute choir.
Yes. You can get a whole group of flutes together playing regular flutes, alto flutes, bass flutes, piccolos, and it can sound like the full range of a choir on flute.
I got to hear that someday.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. 30 years into this pretty much, I've been doing just a mix of everything. If it involves music, I tend to love it. So,
you played at the time that this is being recorded, it was a week ago, on September 20th. Mm-hmm. There was a concert. It was actually the first concert under the Lively Arts banner, which is being brought back. So let's start with that. Talk about the Lively Arts series being brought back by IU East.
Sure, yeah. For your viewers who have been in this area for a while, you might remember the Lively Arts series going way back in IU East's history. The earliest I was able to find when I was just doing a little research was back to the early 1990s. It was an event and talk and lecture series that IU East had come up with as a banner for arts events that they were having on campus. And then it eventually just stopped being used. Well, the concerts that we put on at IU East, a lot of our faculty and our students, as well as an amazing calendar of art exhibits and artist talks and events that are being done by the Fine Arts program. We do this wonderful programming, but we never had it centralized in any one way. And somebody said, well, why don't we bring back the Lively Arts series in a meeting? And we thought, how brilliant is that? Because it encompasses everything that we do.
Right.
So we've already started. We had our first concert on the 20th. Our first artist talk has already happened as well, and her work can be seen until October 1st. And the Whitewater Valley Art Competition is coming up with that, and we've got a whole slate of concerts planned for the year. So it's going to be exciting.
Talk about the concert that you played on the 20th. That was pretty nice, I guess.
That was fun. The flute professor from Ball State University and I have created a duo called Duo Rouge, where we specialize in duet music for flute that involves multiple flutes, meaning flute, piccolo, and alto flute, oftentimes on the same piece. The two of us, her name is Mihoko Watanabe, the two of us with the pianist Diane Fraser out of Columbus had done a concert in fall 2019. My colleague here, Nathan Frobe, who is a composer, was at that concert and loved the idea of composing for multiple flutes. And long story short, ended up composing a whole program of music. 5 of the pieces that we performed on that night were world premieres. And the others had only been performed once or twice, so we were able to give them a wider audience. And so we were very excited to do it. Nathan is such a wonderfully colorful composer in terms of blending textures of the sounds and just creates the most wonderful colors in his music, and it was just a lot of fun to play.
Talk a little bit about some of the other performances that are scheduled to come up this year. Some of them are students, some of them are other professors.
Exactly. So our students give concerts at IU East every December and every April. The students that are taking private lessons, as well as our seniors who give their final recitals or projects. So that's always going to be a part of the Lively Arts programming. And then we open up the calendar to our faculty and say, who has ideas? What would you like to do? So we always build in a faculty showcase in February. So multiple music faculty from IU East and often from other places as well. Usually Earlham professors are involved and other guests. So we call it the Faculty and Friends Concert. And it's a wonderful way to, just get a overall view of the great work that our faculty here are doing. And then we have other concerts that are, anchored with one of our faculty members, but might bring in other guests. So in November, we have a 4-handed piano concert, as well as a string trio coming.
Okay.
In November, we have a singer in January, and we have a saxophone guest artist in March performing, again, music from Dr. Frobe. So, a wide slate of projects this year. And we've already started to have ideas for next year, for a brass group, for another vocal duo. And I actually I missed one. We also have a string quartet coming in March as well. Okay. So with our cello instructor and his quartet. So
we'll keep you updated on some of those as we go through Access to the Arts. We'll update that information for you and make sure that you know. And for people who maybe aren't getting out because of COVID or whatever, a lot of these are actually streamed live.
Yes, one of the wonderful outcomes of the pandemic, if you can think of the pandemic that way, is that we figured out a way to virtually program our concerts, and they met with such success last year that even though we returned to having an audience this year, we were able to come to the decision to keep doing the virtual programming. So our concerts are being streamed on Facebook Live, many of them with the help of WCTV, so we're excited for that partnership to continue.
Are too.
And we hope that we have the opportunity to showcase the talents of our faculty and students at IU East beyond our region as a result, and really help promote the program and promote the university that way.
Jessica, we are looking forward to the performances, looking forward to having you back and getting updates as to some of the other things as the Lively Arts series and more continues to develop here on the IU East campus. Appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
This episode of Access to the Arts is being made possible through the support of First Bank Richmond, with 8 locations serving Wayne County. First Bank Richmond and you, doing great things together.